What are the coolest linguistic facts you know? If English wasn't confusing enough, we have asterisk contronyms asterisk, words that have two separate and completely opposite meanings. Asterisk dust asterisk remove particles, lay down particles asterisk fast asterisk quick, unmoving asterisk execute asterisk to start or begin, to kill or finish asterisk left asterisk remaining, departed from asterisk consult asterisk seek information, refer information.
The word crisp is pronounced from the back of the mouth to the front.
We get plumbing from the original name for lead, PB, plumbum, which is what most pipes were made from at the time. And the word plummet came from when fishermen used lead weights, plumbum, on their lines to check the depth of the ocean floor and would see it plummet to the bottom of the seafloor. Rubber got its name because it was used to rub away pencil marks. That English has an order in which adjectives go, and it sounds wrong if they adjectives were not in that order. That's a fat big lie.
People who use American Sign Language to communicate can have accents just as in spoken language.
When you say a word repeatedly, it loses its meaning and the word itself starts to sound funny, like it isn't a word at all. It's called semantic satiation, and I love it.
If you look at the brain scans of someone speaking English versus someone signing ASL, you would assume that the signer uses the visual spatial part of their brain more than the speaker, right? Actually, they both use their language part of the brain completely, and the ASL signer has virtually no brain activity in their visual spatial cortex once they're fluent. Papua New Guinea has over 800 living languages.
Cliché comes from the sound old printing presses made when making copies.
Helicopter's etymology isn't heli plus copter, but rather helico plus pter, as in helix, spiral, and wing.
After the Norman conquest in 1066, French became the language of royalty and aristocrats, but the poorer Anglo-Saxons continued to speak English. The aristocrats could afford to eat more expensive meats like the meat from cows and pigs, which is why those meats are now called beef and pork in English, from French bœuf and pork, but chicken is just called chicken, because that's what was eaten by the Anglo-Saxons, who spoke English, so the meat retained its English name.
Hungarian is more similar to Finnish than it is to any of the languages around it. Swedish is more closely related to Hindi than it is to Finnish.
Only 5% of the world's languages are represented online. There is no content for the other 95%. Many languages don't have as many color words as English. We have 10. Some only have 3 color names. Interestingly, there is a pretty strict order in which color name appear in languages. If a language has 3 terms, they will be black, white, and red. If they have 4, the 4th color will be yellow or green. Same if you add a 5th. And at 6 you will get blue, then brown, and after that you will add orange, pink, purple, and gray in random order. If shown flashcards with varying degrees of colors, members from many different cultures and linguistic backgrounds will agree on what is pure red, green, blue, etc. Ever heard of diglossia? It's when one community uses 2 different languages or dialects depending on the circumstances, e.g. for written things and for casual conversation. A weird, not actual schoolbook case of that is Swiss German. High German is used for written and formal things while Swiss German is used to speak. There is a language called Anglish with all the French Latin words replaced with Germanic words.
Indian languages and European languages all came from one another, a language called Proto-Indo-European, or PIE. In PIE, we can trace all words back, from languages that evolved, and we can figure out what the original word may have been. From what we can tell, Deus meant God. This is very obvious, because Deus means God in Latin, and well, most Romance languages come from this. However, it also appears in Jupiter. Or, as Romans would have said, Iupiter. It would be pronounced like Jupiter. So, Jupiter, he's a sky father, wouldn't you say? In the sky, father to all sorts of gods. Funny enough, pater means father in Latin, and well, if you sort of mish-mash around Jupiter, it sounds like Diu pater, doesn't? Also, Dias, whenever it turned into Greek, eventually turned into Zeus. That's right. When the Romans took in the pantheon of Greek gods as their own, they quite accurately saw parallels, because they were the same gods. Even better, Dias Patar was the name of a god with a similar role to Jupiter, in a Vedic religion. Everything is so interlinked, it's crazy.
Nuncle, napron, numpire to uncle, apron, umpire. It's called rebracketing, e.g. after saying an apron long enough, it became an apron. It can go the other way too, newts used to be EWTS.
Ingenuity and ingenious do not share the same root. I think I heard that one from Adam Savage during a Vsauce on the Brachistochrone curves.
English used to have the German ch sound, voiceless velar fricative, and it was found in those words that are spelled with gh, like daughter, pronounce it that way and it suddenly sounds a lot like German Tochter. Also, dummy pronoun, defective verb, and cranberry morpheme are all technical linguistic terms. A dummy pronoun is a pronoun that only appears because that language's rules demand that there must always be a subject, without actually adding any meaning. Like, it's raining, which it are we talking about, exactly? And yet the sentence is malformed without it. A defective verb is a verb that doesn't have a full set of conjugations, like, must, it doesn't have an infinitive, it has no simple past forms. A cranberry morpheme is a word component that only exists as part of one or very few words and can't be used to form new ones. Like the cran in cranberry, you can't create a cranapple, largely because nobody has a sense of what kind of properties cran actually implies, and yet cranberries are clearly distinct from strawberries or blackberries.
Irish doesn't have words for yes or no, they conjugate the verb and repeat it to you. So if you say, have you read it? They say, I have read it, or I have not read it. As a result, English speakers in Ireland, Ireland, are inclined to do the same in English, even though English has words for yes or no. It's just part of their dialect now.
Mortgage is a combination of two old French words, mort, death, and gage, pledge. A mortgage is a death pledge. Generally speaking, the more commonly a verb is used, the more likely it is to have an irregular conjugation. Cases in point. To be, to go, to do. The phenomenon occurs in many languages.